Diffident, that's our next word. This again can be a new and unfamiliar word. Let me just put it in a context. Let's take Deepak for example. Deepak was too diffident to express his opinion. So what do you think can be the meaning of diffident in this context? If somebody was some too diffident to express their, so obviously which means they're shy, right? They're either conscious about themselves. So obviously the opposite of that would be what? Confident. Yes, one would be a synonym, yes. Shy is a synonym. Again, we need an antonym here. This is a synonym. Brave. Some of you might come back and say, why not brave? The best thing to do is try and come up with options of words. If I have to say someone is brave, what would be the opposite word that I would say? I would say covered, right? More than diffident. That would be a more appropriate antonym. Confident, yes. Somebody who is confident will be able to express their opinion more openly. Meek, again, meek means humble. The opposite of that would be proud or arrogant, not diffident, right? So if you are confused with other words, try and see, put them in context, try and see what can be a better opposite to that word, right? Our answer obviously is 3 here for this one, diffident. Yeah, okay. So for synonyms and antonyms, right? Either you know the answer or you don't know the answer. But yes, sometimes we can apply the concept of root words, we can apply the concept of meanings of prefixes, suffixes and figure out the meaning. Or we have to consciously be able to recollect some words. We might be familiar with some words. It's just that we don't come across it on an everyday basis, right? People don't use words like venial. But you might be familiar with that in a context, right? Disavowal. Who uses those words while they talk? They don't. So either we'll have to apply prefix, suffix meaning, or we'll have to recollect how we've used those words with other associated words. So you need to kind of, and please don't underestimate yourself. All of us have the ability or the capacity to retain a lot of words and their meanings. We only limit ourselves saying, okay, in a day, I can only remember these many words. That's not the case actually. There are a lot of ways in which you can retain words and their meanings. One is to obviously learn it in context, right? And to obviously keep applying it. That will be the best way to retain words. But like I said, don't underestimate yourself that you cannot remember words. That's not the case at all. You can, because your brain has that capacity. So if you're thinking otherwise, you're just fooling yourself. Venial. Now this might be a completely new word, right? I don't know this word because it's not a word that people use commonly. So what do I do for words like this? If you should be able to either recollect it, right? So I'll give you some collocations. Venial offense or venial error. Let me put it in a context. If Ankit had faults, they were venial ones. Okay? So I've given you an example sentence. In this example sentence, I want you to apply a little bit of collocation and tell me what do you think can be the meaning of venial. If Ankit had faults, they were venial ones. So we're talking about his faults, whatever mistakes Ankit makes. Even if he had them, they are venial ones. So what can venial in the context mean? Are we saying that if Ankit had faults, they were corrupt ones, they were superficial ones, they were respected ones? We're talking about faults here. That's your clue word, right? Pardonable, which means you can easily forgive. You can easily forgive Ankit because they're not very drastic faults, right? It's not something that you have to punish him for. You can easily so venial in the context means something that where you can easily excuse Ankit or easily forgive Ankit because they're not very grave mistakes, right? So if at all Ankit had faults, they were venial ones. Pay attention to the conditional statement as well. Again, we are looking at synonyms, right? So never go with how it rhymes with another word because you'll get confused. It may not work all the time for all the words. That's what I'm saying. I would not recommend that strategy. So in each of the following questions, 5 options are given, of which one word is most nearly the same. So I can have a synonym or an antonym to the given word in the question. Find the correct option having either same or opposite meaning. Let's look at the word is alluding. Are you guys familiar with this word? Are you guys familiar with this word alluding? Alluding means what? Right? So for example, Faisal alluded to the recent war by saying, we've all made sacrifices. Okay? So if you look at that, if you look at that, I'm just giving you an example sentence. Faisal alluded to the recent war by saying, we've all made sacrifices. Big deal. So what is he saying? He is not directly referring to the war. He's saying, when it comes to war, yes, some people will have to die. That's how it is, right? That's the concept of war. Somebody has to win, somebody has to lose. So he's not saying, he's not making any direct reference to war, but he's saying, we've all made sacrifices. Right? He's talking about that. So any sort of indirect reference or hinting at something, that's what alluding is, right? We got the, so having looked at that, obviously our answer has to be option B, right? So only if you know the meaning of this word. If you don't know, obviously it's going to be difficult. What is to impose? To force something, right? The government imposes taxes. That's not the word. Clinging, right? You can, I mean, this, whatever you're wearing, cling to your body, basically attaching attaching itself to something. You can cling to conventional forms, right? You're not very open to modern outlook of things. You like tradition, customs, right? So you can cling to those conventional ways of doing certain things, right? So clinging again is not the right word here. Holding on, examples that I gave, or like a fabric that clings to your body, right? That's not the meaning that we need. Breaking, we know, very easy verb, to break something. Escaping also we know. So none of these options. So obviously we're looking at alluding and referring being synonyms here, right? So again guys, for these sort of question types, you either know the answer or you don't know the answer, right? If you don't know the meaning of alluding, you will never get the answer right. So if you don't know, skip, move on. Don't waste time. But it's good to try and relate to context, right? Quintessential. Quintessential. Maybe it's a new word. Let me give you a context. Like, have you heard people say, for example, if I say, hey, Yashvir is the quintessential romantic. What do you think? If you have to substitute a word from the example that I gave, I said Yashvir is a quintessential romantic. If you have to substitute quintessential with your own word, what word will you use? So, for the next question, most of you are coming back and saying B. I have B and E. Unique, typical. Most of you are saying E. Ashish is a quintessential tough guy. He always portrays himself to be a tough guy. I'm looking for a word that you can give me if you had to substitute quintessential. Not unique. Most of you are coming back and saying unique, but actually the word is, yes, numeric, typical, right? He's the characteristics or the way he behaves, the way he carries himself, typical of a romantic, typical of a tough guy, right? He portrays himself to be this tough guy. Even I like the word quintessential. You should use it more in your vocabulary, right? So basically it's describing the characteristics of a person, saying, if you're referring to one person and if you know this person is like that, right? Or you can say Raj is a quintessential spendthrift. Somebody who spends money lavishly. Or Raj is a quintessential miser. Very greedy. He cannot part with his money, right? So you're attaching a particular characteristic trait to that person, saying this person is typical, standard. They will behave, they will function, they will act, they will think like a romantic, a tough guy, a spendthrift, a miser, a professor. Or if you have somebody who you know, right? Your friends or your family members who's extremely strict, is always kind of correcting you every time you do something, right? So
having a teacher kind of a attitude or a professor kind of a mentality. So you can say, so and so is a quintessential professor, so and so is a quintessential teacher, right? Basically you're attaching a characteristic. So in the context, obviously again it's a synonym here, quintessential, typical. Not different, not unique, not excellent, not necessary. All of the other options you can, those are all simple words. Like I said again, if you know the word, you know it, otherwise you don't. Capacity, easy word, right? Capacity. My options are capability, qualification, voltage, volume, quantity. So I quickly associate capacity to what and all can you associate capacity to? So I can say, a water bottle, the capacity of this water bottle is this much amount it can hold, amount of water it can hold, right? Which means I am talking about which one? In the example sentence that I gave, which one am I talking about? See, I'm assuming all of you who are giving me the options are giving it to me from the AIM answer solution, okay? But I just gave you an example, right? Answer my question first. Don't blindly go with the answer option given. Let's understand the question. So if I say, so some of you said volume. That's why you said option D. At least the example that I gave. This bottle has the capacity to hold this amount of water. It can either be volume or it can even be quantity, no? Why not quantity? It can also refer to quantity, right? So I have volume and quantity. Or if I say Ashish has the capacity to carry, let's say 4 monitors at a time. Ashish has the capacity to carry 4 monitors at a time. What does it mean? Option A, he has the capability, he has the ability, right? He is that strong that he has the capability, right? So which means capability also is synonym, volume is also synonym, quantity is also synonym. What about qualification? Connect, I have the capacity to read a 650 word count passage in less than 2 minutes. Which means what? I have the capability, right? If you go back, capability is a synonym, volume is a synonym, quantity is a synonym. I would say even qualification to an extent. Okay, maybe not directly, but capacity, qualification, okay, doesn't make sense. I would say, okay, unrelated word. But somewhere down the line, again you're saying qualification means he has the capability, right? So voltage is just we're talking about an electromotive force, right? A force. So which means in this question, how can I say capacity is only to do with option A? Because I have more than one option. And I don't think qualification and voltage are antonyms of capacity, right? For me, if you ask me, they are just unrelated words. I would say this is an example of an unintelligently designed question, which means there are too many options that can be synonyms, and the other 2 options that are there, I cannot even say that they are antonyms because they are unrelated words. Qualification and voltage. So for a question if a question like this comes up, I will skip this question. What is the correct option? No. There are no correct options in this question. There are no correct options. Yeah, because it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. So I've already told the support team that this particular question, the answer is incorrect. It cannot be option A because I have more than one option that are synonyms with capacity, and qualification, voltage are not antonyms. They are extremely unrelated words. Voltage, capacity. Okay, you are doing collocations and trying to see if that is the answer. There is, like I said, Preet, there is no answer. This is a very unintelligently designed question. It's an incorrectly framed question. Just like how in spot theory sometimes we have more than one part that has the error, no? Which shouldn't be the case. Ideally, that shouldn't be the case. The question should be framed in such a manner that only one part has the error. But unfortunately, sometimes we have questions where there is more than one part that has the error. So no free marks for everyone. It's not about, this is just our practice test, but I'm saying These sort of questions, unless you understand that, hey, there are more than one option that can be a synonym or antonym, and you know the difference, that qualification voltage, other options that are there cannot be antonyms. If at all you have questions like this, which you shouldn't have, please skip them and move on.